6 p.m., June the 12th. You're going to get a roll call of September.
Darrell Anderson. Here. Beverly Raymond. Here. Christopher Smith. Here. Ellen Clark. Here. Harold Doucette. Here. Jerry LeBeau.
Here.
Rhonda Connor. Here. You have a quorum, Chair.
Invocation and pledge. Can I get a Beverly, please, on your birthday?
Father God, we come once again. Thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for everyone that is present tonight, all of our board members and our employees. Father God, I ask that you use it in a mighty special way and help us to work together for the betterment of our corporation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
You all received a copy of the minutes of the following board. Is there any questions? If there's no questions, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passed. Presentation? None. Communication? None. Speaker? None. Reports, press building, operating expenses. You see that in your package? Okay.
Good evening, Board. Mr. LeBeau requested some information on the press building and just wanted to take a basic look at where the monthly charges are annualized into the revenue versus the expenditures. And so you have in front of you the revenue that we're collecting currently, monthly, with the short-term lease and the Lamar Culinary Kitchen. And you also have some of the operating expenditures here that are also monthly and then annualized on the side. Right now, please remember that the building is not fully operational. So these numbers will change and increase in time. Also, the building, there's a couple of short-term leases that will also come in at a later date, and you have the Port Arthur Federal Credit Union on your report, on your agenda for tonight. So that will increase slightly. But at this time, you can see that the revenue is outweighing, the expenditures are outweighing the revenue by $18,108.97 monthly. So as I said, this is temporary. The building is still not fully operational. As we opened up the rest of the building, the janitorial expenses will increase. The expenditures for janitorial will increase significantly, I think to probably like $5,000 a month. Right now it's at $1,500. So this is where we are at this time with the press building. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. You know, the press building, I know we keep harping on expenditures and costs, but with the startups that we have in there where we allow people to come in and use the place and stuff, you know, that's all space and things, you know, so really when you start doing things for the community, you know, it's not really a loss. You know, it could be equivalent to we giving $1 million a year for parks and recreation, or we giving $1 million for streets. You know, as long as we can actually get a fair rental market rate for rental space, then that's what we need to really concentrate on and look at. You know, the space that we have identified to be rented, get people in there and get it rented for that cost. But I don't think this building will ever be one that we can actually say is going to pay for itself. I don't know. It doesn't seem that way because we giving up some things in there for the community, you know, and everything. So at some point in time, we have to understand, you know, if we're looking for the building to pay itself, then what you do is you put all the rent space and everybody go in and pay rent and you pay for expenses. You have no worries. But when you start doing things for people in the community, then that's money that we are forfeiting. Therefore, we need to consider that. So, you know, right now, I know we keep harping on the expense. You know, I don't think that's a big deal. I think what we need to really concentrate on is monitoring how much money we're making and tracking it. Now, we talk about we still haven't had money for spaces that have not been rented.
Correct.
But see, that's not a reason we can't project that if we know what we're renting them for. So rather than having the building filled, you still project an income. And I think that's basically what we need to make sure we understand. And I think that's what I, as a board member, would like for you all to tell me is, you know, how are we doing with that we're going to get paid for and status, you know.
We could definitely have that for you at the next board meeting. This board meeting was geared specifically for a certain, was asking for certain facts. So we can definitely have that number for you also.
It's not that important, I said, but you know, we have to be focused. You know, when you trying to equal the money and you giving, that's not going to happen. But we should know how much we're going to be putting into this, and that way we can say that's what we're doing for the community. We're pushing this back into the community, and that's what we're about here. What we do for people to come and create small business, that's business, creating jobs, creating training. That's what we're about. And if we got that in that building, that's something that we've putting in. But the other is to help us not to spend so much because of the investment and stuff in it. You know, that's all. That's just my point. So I like to know how we stand with what we're supposed to collect rent on.
You want the projections?
Right.
Yes,
So,
no problem.
you know, tell us what we're going to have when we get all these spaces available, and tell me where we are with getting these places rented. Thank you.
I have a question. You know, Commissioner Doucette is correct as far as what I think we need projecting, but my question is, even if we do have full capacity, that electricity bill is just like up there. It is more than half of that $18,000 something that we pay a month, right? So the question is, have we looked into PACE and some type of utility aspect to help us with the efficiency of that use, or how is the electricity is regulated?
Well,
for the
I
use?
believe right now you have to still remember that that building is still part construction and part is operational. Although the construction is not as great right now, they're not there as much. But once that part of the project closed down and you will be looking at mostly the
I see.
operational costs.
Okay, I
I
got
think that possibly will come down some and
yeah.
it won't be so great.
Okay.
Now, how much, I don't know. It's going to take some time for us to be in operation and get some historical numbers, to where we could actually take an estimate on how much that is costing us.
Right. Not to mention, as you were saying, I just didn't know they were still even drawing that kind of electricity in that building because they trying to finish it out. Now I can understand why that bill is so high now.
But even so, you know, we're still going to have some way, because when you operate in a building like that,
Right.
and you're paying electricity, most time you have a thermostat that is controlled
Right.
by the person there, and they keep it at a temperature that is comfortable, you know, not just cold or in the wintertime hot. You know, you find a medium, and that
Right.
way we could save on electricity, because that's a lot of space. So if we don't have a thermostat that we control the building and stuff, then we're going to have a problem with electric bill all the time because, some people are cold nature, and then someday they may want to turn the heater up, or you're hot and you want to turn the air conditioning on. But we need to have thermostats in the different areas so that we can control it. Because if somebody's not in this area, why have it?
I talked to Jana about that, and she said they do have computerized thermostats, state of the art. I don't know if they're overriding them or whatever, because every time I've been in there, they're running 68 degrees. So, but what I'm saying, they do have the best thermostat you can buy.
Basically, what you're saying is a good point that Chris brought up. Now, it's up to Crystal to go back and address our concerns with controlling the thermostat and making it sure that people are comfortable as opposed to extremely cold or extremely hot. So the thermostat needs to be controlled to make our building comfortable and not set at a desired temperature. Is that what we're saying?
Right. Now, I did talk to the architect, Alum. Alum, they done some figuring, I don't know when, where, how, but he said he feels like summertime, we're going to run about $24,000, $25,000 a month for electricity on that building.
Well, we are kind of going back to the control system. That is something that we are looking into. Jana has been going in and turning things off now in the evenings and the weekends. Our maintenance worker, Mr. Malvo, who is sitting in the audience today, he is actually working with the HVAC control system manager to learn that system so that we can manage it better starting now.
Good, good.
Is it possible we can get automatic, meaning that after a certain point of day, it drops down to a certain degree?
Yes,
Okay.
that's how this building works, and that's what we're planning to have over there too.
Okay.
My question is, these, under the revenue for monthly, the short-term lease payments, are those just those, the leases that the small businesses have
Correct.
agreed to already?
Correct.
Or that's the ones that's actually active? Or that's the ones that's all of them?
No, this is not all of them. These
the
are
ones that's active?
actual, yes.
Okay, but we still have some that's signed, that's not included in here as well, or what?
They are, I'm not sure the
there's
process
two.
of where they are, two of them for sure. And then tonight you have, well, that's actually not, that's a long-term, the credit union is a long-term. But I think you have two of them that is scheduled to come in that haven't signed the lease. I don't think they signed the lease yet, right?
Okay.
Correct.
This was the
And my
10
other-
that we voted on, you remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's them.
This all 10 of them right here?
Yes.
Okay, and then my other question is, the EOC isn't included in the revenue. Why is that?
Because
What's that?
the EOC,
Oh, well, I didn't, it's a wash, so I didn't.
But
I
it's
called-
still revenue for that building. So it still should be included in revenue for this building.
Yeah,
If
but
that's a
then,
payment that we're receiving.
but then the expenditure is the same. That's what I thought.
No.
No, because the EDC
Okay, what?
is paying
Right.
that to the city. That has nothing to do with the income for the
building.
For the building, so that should actually be included. I was just making sure, just to see. So
Okay,
that
well-
number there needs to be added as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and,
That's my
and
fault.
Rachel did compose this based off of a request by a board member, so she put down exactly what was requested of her. Now, we do take into account the EOC's revenue as, we take that into account in the full revenue.
Understand that. I know as an organization we do, but we're looking at numbers that are actually not factual. So it's pointless, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all.
What I'd like to say is, as a EDC, we have a budget. And we're going to try to abide by that budget because that's the only way we're going to know how much money we have in order to be able to invest additional funds into the community. So when we're looking at individual budgets, we need all of the income and all of the expenses that's associated with that. That's the only way we know how we're tracking according to that budget.
Correct.
Okay, so if we're leaving out any of the revenue, then we don't really know where we're tracking, and we don't want to go forward like that. So we need to have all the income that's coming in, all the expenses going out, and it doesn't matter that it's a wash. It can show up on the sheet
Correct.
later on as going back to the city or whatever it is. But when we're looking at individual projects and where we're going to fund them in
Correct.
the community, we cannot do that if we do not know how much money we have.
Well, the actual sheet that we have composed for the upcoming budget year is composed that way. So it takes into consideration all of the actual revenue plus the projections for what is not there. Also, we have the projections for each one of the categories of the operational expenses. So we know what those fixed costs are, and we have set that extra there that we might not know of. So moving forward, as of October 1st of this year, for your fiscal year 2023, we will be able to track it just the way you're asking.
So you're doing for her, but that was my mistake here. So we
Correct.
should be, I'm just saying about another $1,600 income right here on our
Yes,
sheet.
I
So
actually
that would
just,
deduct that by $1,600,
Let's, yeah,
maybe, or something like that. That's good.
yeah,
That's good.
let's,
Okay.
let's make sure we don't, can I?
yeah,
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, let's just, Crystal, you said that it was requested by board members. Let's remember, we meet once a month. All issues any of us have, we bring on the agenda. There should be anything that's on here that's not presented to us. So when we got this with incomes, that should have been automatically a fee. And the reason that happened is because we got away from what we do. You know, if somebody gonna give us this list, we're just talking about procedures, and don't get me wrong, and I'm not pointing a finger at nobody, but we must understand how we're gonna operate, and when there's things we can do to put us all on one sheet of music, we should be. Okay?
Meaning what, though? I don't understand.
Meaning,
It should have been on the agenda?
right.
Well, it was on the agenda,
No,
wasn't
no,
it?
no,
It's on there as a request.
Yeah.
but this report should not have reflected anything that we did not discuss. That's what I'm saying. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
What you mean?
Okay. Well, I could talk with you later. We're not
Okay.
going to hold up the meeting,
Okay.
okay? But,
Okay.
Crystal, you understand what I'm saying? Okay, the board, when we meet, we make decisions, so everything is presented to us. Communication with us individually should not issue directives. We issue directives from the board. Okay? I'll get with you.
Okay. Any other?
I think basically what's going on is that he has certain items that he wanted to address, and it wasn't a complete report. And what the board is saying, that we want a complete, we don't want a half report. We want a complete report. Even though the board president requested it, if it's not a complete report, and I would just inform him, it's not a complete report. It's not showing all the income and all. So that's the issue that I think that Mr. Duce is speaking of, is that we want the complete, and it's up to you as the CEO to inform the board member, of what needs to be done and how it should be taken care of. But I understand where he come from, Mr. LeBeau, but again, it's not a complete report.
Understood.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Jana's not here, so the plaque ain't gonna be talked about.
Right, Jana had a family emergency, so she's running
Okay.
a little late.
Okay, unfinished business, discuss and consider engaged in the services of Arsenal, Wilson and Cole for the replat.
Okay, this item here, Chair, we had postponed this from a previous meeting, 2 meetings ago. We discussed this item. It was in regards to the sale of land to John Crane Incorporated at the Business Park. It was, at that time, our understanding that the city wanted a full replat of the business park, which was why it was on the agenda. After bringing the board's concerns to the city, they have clarified with myself and our engineer that it is not indeed the entire park that has to be replatted, but instead just the parcel that we're selling. So with that being said, they have revised their quote to us. It is a little over $1,000 to have that done, so there is no action needed from the board tonight.
Good. Consent agenda. There's 2 items, and you all have read them. If it's any questions, if not, can I get a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Non-consent, discuss and consider recommendations for the Economic Development Conditional Grant Agreement with Leo Food Park LLC at 7700 9th Avenue.
Yes, sir. This particular applicant did come before the board several meetings ago. The board directed to move forward with the full application process. Ms. Guidry has gone through that process with us. We have reached the point of recommendation to the board for an incentive agreement for her infrastructure project on 9th Avenue. Now, you won't see the backup in your packets. I see some of you are looking for it. After discussion with Mr. Hvac on this particular item, the project is everything is fine with it, but there is some concern with the form of the agreement that we have been previously using. So Mr. Hvac would like some additional time to just go through that, fine-tooth comb it, and revise our agreement as far as the form goes. So this one, we do plan on bringing back to you guys with the actual agreement that Mr. Hvac has revised and approved. But just to give you all a heads up, this one, the details will come whenever that agreement comes before you, but it is approximately, comes out to about $150,000 incentive agreement for this project. Any questions on that one?
Can I get a motion?
Don't need a motion.
Oh, go for it. Okay. Second? Oh,
A minute, hold up. What was the first one with? Are we gonna table it, remove it?
We don't need a motion for that. I mean, you
Just
can if you
postpone
want, but there's nothing for you to act on, so we're going to bring it back at a future meeting. We will bring it back at a future meeting.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So if we're gonna bring it back like it is, we either table it
Well,
for the next meeting or
technically,
remove it.
technically, you don't table things for a next meeting. Under Robert's Rules of Order, you table things for the same meeting. A motion to table is when you want to put something on the table and then bring it back at the same meeting. To postpone it to another meeting, that's a motion to postpone. My point is that y'all don't need to do any motion. We're going to bring it back. You can do a motion if you want, but it's not necessary under the law or your procedures. You can just move on.
Know the amount, so until she brings it back with the amount, we have nothing to table.
And you don't have a form of an agreement to approve in front of you either.
okay. Second, to discuss and consider a Phase 1 application and letter of intent to apply for an economical incentive from MPW Industrial Water Services. Crystal?
Okay, this agenda item stems from what we have been discussing and working with Arsenault, Wilson & Co. in regards to the pipelines out at the business park. MPW Industrial Water is looking to expand their business due to the high demand that they have for their services. In order to do that, we have found through Arsenault, Wilson & Co. that there will have to be some upgrades to some of those pipes adjacent to their property. As recommended to the board, I have gotten with MPW. We are going to treat this as an incentive agreement where they would have to make certain performances in return for an incentive for the work done. So at this point, they have submitted, just like all other incentive applicants, their letter of intent and Phase 1 application to you all to direct us to move forward or not. And then we will move forward with the full application where we do our due diligence as to the finances and their economic impact to the community with this expansion so we can put together an incentive package.
Any questions? All in favor? Against? Motion carried. Next, item 3, discuss and consider a letter of intent to apply for economic incentive infraction for the project of Saigon Town LLC.
Yes, sir. This is an infrastructure project. Applicant, Ms. Nguyen, is here with her contractor tonight, and if you all would allow her to come and speak about her project. She is looking for infrastructure funding assistance for a project on Gulfway Drive. It will be a multi-retail center.
Hi, my name is Michelle Nguyen. So I'm the owner of Gulfway Drive, Saigon Plaza, Saigon Town. So my English very limited, so that's why I bring the person who can speak good English to translate to me. So.
Hi, my name is John. My role here today is to translate whatever he's saying to the board. So, Nadi?
I don't know what can I say.
Well, that's all I know.
If you just want to tell them what the project is, Ms. Nguyen, what you're going to be building on the property, that would be great.
Okay, I try my best. So whatever I can't speak, so my friend can help me translate.
You know what? If you just take your time, we're going to understand you, and we understand it, okay? So you don't have to be nervous, and don't think that we're going to be looking at it. Just take your time, and if you want to tell him to tell us something, that'd be fine. Just relax and tell us.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that building is before that they close. So I buy that one and remodel and make it for 8 units for lease. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So after we make some outside, so I got a lot of people call they want to rent that one. So the cost I asking for the cost to help me do the shine outside and clean the parking lot, do the parking lot, make it more pretty. The inside, we can do it by us. Yes, that's it.
Nó nói là muốn đem người ta lại đồ này kia để làm cho thêm.
Yeah. Can I let my friend talk?
Well, basically, Michelle was trying to say, she renovated that building, trying to attract more business opportunities for the community. She's not directly hiring employees, but through her work, there will be major retailers who are interested, and they will be hiring from locally in the area. She's asking for help with making the property more attractive and also beautifying the local area, and also some additional help with the exteriors, as she was saying. And we will have our contractor here who's going to be talking more about the project because he's the one with the numbers and the scope of what needs to be done. If you have any questions, you can ask, and I'll translate to Ms. Michelle, and we hopefully answer your concerns and everything. It is on Gulfway. Do you know where the old fire building department? It was abandoned fire building.
Station, but I don't know where that's at.
I don't know where that's located. Do you have an approximate address?
O'Reilly on Gulfway is actually on the same side I think 1/10 of a mile away from that.
So
This side?
If you're coming towards Bridge City, is on the left. You're going to...
It's 4439 Gulfway Drive.
that's the building that used to be White's Auto?
Yeah, Weiss Auto.
Yes,
Okay,
it's across from the
now I'm
corner
with
of the
you.
housing.
Yeah.
It's a 20-something thousand square foot building. It's
Yeah.
pretty big. And
I
we're-
know about that, yeah.
And it was abandoned for years, just sitting there, very dilapidated and
Right.
very unattractive. So she had the idea of seeking out to buy the property and then making it new and beautiful and also creating jobs and revitalizing the local area too.
So what kind of companies have you had to you?
So we had several restaurants. I'm Jonathan, by the way, Jonathan Morfin. I'm the contractor. We have several restaurants reached out. We've had a lot of local businesses too that want to expand. It's going to be like 2,000 square foot. We're going to have a total of 8 units, and then you'll have a storage unit in the back. We've had a cabinet maker come talk to us. She currently owns other businesses and shopping centers now in Nederland, so some of those tenants have spoken and called, and we're having a lot. We haven't had anybody solid yet because there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but there's a lot of interest of people wanting to do something there more than what we expected. So
The area is very high traffic area and very accessible, and I'm pretty sure it's very desirable once it's finished and beautified. So I'm pretty sure we don't have problem with renters or leaser for years. Any other questions?
Board members, again, this is just a letter of intent and Phase 1 application.
So same thing, we don't need a motion?
So-
Good.
Do need a motion for this, yes.
We do?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, have a motion, a second, all in favor? Against? Motion carried. Thank y'all.
thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Discuss and consider approving a workforce training agreement with Angels Divine, the Touch of certification nurse and aide training. That's that lady that came the other day and talked to us?
No,
we
sir.
discussed it?
This, Angels Divine Touch is a contractor that we have actually contracted with before to do certified nursing assistant training. Due to the fact that the other two persons, one did back out, that Renata had reached out to, Lamar State College is still trying to find someone to teach the class. Renata did reach out to Angels Divine Touch. This person is willing to contract with the EDC once again to provide the Certified Nursing Assistant program. It was successful in the past. It just wasn't renewed back at that time. So we would like to go ahead and present this and recommend to the board to move forward with Angels Divine Touch for a workforce development agreement for certified nursing assistants.
Any questions?
How long ago did we have her? It seemed like that wasn't.
It was, I think, 2020 maybe was the last time we had a contract. It may have ended in 2020.
Okay.
And we did have a good amount of people to go through that program. It seemed like that was one of the programs that kind of slipped through the cracks.
There was about 10 persons that went through her program, and that would be about how much we can, well, no, this time we'd actually be able to put about 30 persons through the program this time. So the last time, now, what we did is we restructured this just a little bit because that program, it was successful in its enrollment, but they found that a lot of the applicants or the students wouldn't actually go get their certification once they went through the training. So the trainer, in turn, wasn't able to get her full reimbursement for the training. So we restructured this to where it mirrors the other workforce agreements that we have. So the trainer will actually get a portion at enrollment, half of the tuition once they complete the training rather than certification. And then there is also $150 extra in there as an incentive to the trainer once they're placed on a job.
Good.
Question. What is the career path once they complete the certification? I know there's a big need for it. I know there's a need for it, but will we have employers lined up to interview these people so when they get to maybe phase 3 before they test, they can go from point A to point B and no gap between the time they get their certification before they find a job?
That's an interesting point. We can definitely try to see how we can maybe work with the trainer on doing a small type job fair where we can, get some of these employers together and give the students an opportunity to meet with them. But as far as right now, I don't know that there is an actual, I don't know who her list of employers are to go to try to place these students at.
Right, I'm thinking that, if we have a workforce development team that's working with them, that may be where we can kind of add some value to them when they get ready to test out, because One thing employees or people coming out of training programs are, if they don't have the people ready to hire them, they spend time out there trying to find an opportunity, then they lose momentum, then they get lost in the sauce. So I would love to be able to see at phase 3, before they test or something like that, they start interviewing and start talking to people. So when they come out of these programs, they can walk right into a new opportunity as opposed to looking for an opportunity.
And I have to agree, because the thing is, if you're going to bring a program and you're going to train these people, you want them to be able to be employed somewhere. So if nothing else, there's agencies that you probably can look at that will probably be able to assist in that area. But again, I agree with Chris, when we're going to get 30, very much needed program, but again, we have to make sure they're placed somewhere once they are complete the training.
Certainly.
But I do support this program, as y'all well know.
Just for clarity for my sake, you did just say that they will be certified when they finish the training or not?
Not necessarily. That will be on the student to go and get certified at their own cost.
Okay.
And what's the average cost for them to get certified?
Oh, goodness, that's a
And
good
if we're going to give
question.
incentive, why can't we include that in the program? Is it possible?
Let the lady do it all.
That may be a question for Mr. Zek, whether we can reimburse the student for the testing. Because that would have to be reimbursed to the student rather than the trainer.
Rather than the trainer. I just need to look at the section of the statute that's applicable, and then I can answer that question for
It
you.
couldn't just be a part of the training itself, the whole program? Because if you can complete a CNA training all you want, if you never get the license or certification, you can't go to work. And what's the point in paying for the training if they're not going to go to work?
Well, we go back to the CDL.
That's like
We send them
CDL.
to training, and then they get licensed, and we pay for it. So why can't part of the training that we want them to do includes certification? And we pay for that. Now, if we have to reduce the number of people that we training, it would be better for us to train and certify than to train and not certify. We need to take it from beginning to end so that when they do complete it, it's better chances of placement than that, because people may not have the money to go and get licensed. So when we are paying for training, if we could do it for that, that's the program we have where people actually take the training and at the end, they get certified, and certification is part of what we're paying for the training. So I think that's what you all are saying, right? And I agree with it.
So can
It's what we want.
Can we postpone this until we can talk to Angels and find out
Well,
if she can certify it even?
Well, I don't know if she can certify or not, but the statute says that you can spend tax revenue to provide job-related life skills sufficient to enable an employed individual to obtain employment. So that's paying for the life skills and providing for the job training skills. It doesn't authorize you to pay for the certification testing.
Well, why are we getting them certified with the CDL? Okay.
Well, actually, we're not, Mr. Doucette. For Lamar State College, we pay at enrollment and completion of their training through Lamar State College. The certification is done separately. At one point, they would have to go to Houston to get certified. Now Lamar State College has their own certification program, but that's done separately.
So we're not paying for that?
No.
Okay. Well, okay.
Due to past practices, I motion that we accept this accept this proposal.
Can I get a second?
Second it.
Okay, all in favor? Against? Motion carried. Discuss and consider approving a quotation from Discovery Information Technology for managed IT service for 501 Proctor Street and the Press Building.
Yes, sir. 501 Proctor Street as well as 549 4th Street are both in need of managed IT services for our networking servers and computer equipment. After conferring with the purchasing department. Discovery IT Services is a co-op. They're on a co-op agreement with the state, so we are able to contract their services. They have provided their proposal and agreement, which is in your packet today. So it is recommendation of staff to go ahead and contract the services of Discovery to provide the managed IT services for both buildings.
Any other questions? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Discuss and consider approving the proposal from industrial and commercial ICM quarterly HVAC maintenance with monthly filter changes for the HVAC system at 501 Proctor. That's here.
Yes, sir. This is the preventative maintenance contract for the HVAC system here at 501 Proctor. Again, ICM is also on a cooperative with the state, so we have asked them to go ahead and provide a quote to us, which is in your packet for your review. It is recommendation of staff to go ahead and move forward with this.
I have one question, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is going to provide those services for the Press Club building?
So that is a very good question that actually did just come up. Now, the equipment at the press building is under warranty, so any issues that come up with any equipment will be serviced under the warranty, but the question did come up as far as preventative maintenance goes. So that is something that we are going to probably bring back to the board. We will probably approach ICM since they're on a co-op, or we're going to have to decide, you know, how we're going to procure those services, but we will bring that back to the board for preventative maintenance contract.
And filter changing, good. Okay.
Yes.
So is that something we want to table or postpone until you come back and do the investigation on what the press building is going to cost us? Because we need to try to put all of these contracts together.
That'd be a good deal.
Okay.
We could amend it to include the press building, but it doesn't make a difference if we wait another month to go ahead and ask them to include it in their agreement and just bring it back as one.
Just postpone. Good?
Pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion that we remove the item from the agenda.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Remove it. Number 7, discuss and consider the approval of a lease agreement between City of Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation and City of Port Arthur Engineering Department for Office Space 206A at the Press Building.
This item, Chair, staff is recommending for the removal of this lease agreement.
All in favor?
No.
Remove?
I make a motion that
for
we
engineering
remove the item from the agenda.
They're no longer interested.
All in favor?
They're not interested?
Against?
Okay.
Motion carried. The next one, discuss and consider approving a lease agreement between the Port Arthur Economic Development and Port Arthur Community Federal Credit Union for Office Space 106A at the Press Building.
This item, we are also asking to remove and postpone both of these lease agreements. Our attorney has not had a chance to review these. He would like to also take a look at them and revise as necessary before we sign off on them.
Make a motion that we remove the item from the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Discuss and consider awarding a bid and entering into agreement for the janitorial service at the Press Building.
The city's purchasing department put out a request for proposal and qualifications for janitorial service at the press building. I have provided to the board a memo that details the bids, whether the janitorial services the building twice per week or 3 times per week. At this time, I think that twice per week would suffice. In a year or so, when the building is more fully utilized, we can look at 3 times per week. And I did list a recommendation of Quest Maintenance Services. They are the current janitorial provider for the building. And I have a memo to the interim CEO, a confidential memo, if you guys would like further explanation.
Okay, let me ask you something. There's 1, 2, 3 bidders lower than them. And this was recommended by you, of course. But what was about the deal with the city, you said?
About the deal with the city?
The city.
I provided a confidential memo to the interim CEO, so if she wants to share that with you guys in executive session, she can do so.
So did we get 3 bids on this particular item? Or is
5.
Oh, 5. We did get 5? Okay. Okay, I go back to my same position. Okay, who currently cleans this building? 501 Proctor.
This building is cleaned by a vendor that did not bid on this contract.
Okay, but there's no reason for us not to be able to incorporate those 2 buildings into one contract.
Right.
So that we can simplify our operations. And so whomever we decide to use over at the press building, we need to also have them bid the contract for 501, even if we have to go in and cancel a contract, because we need to try to move towards simplification.
Yes, and that is why I recommended we do just a year for this contract for the 549 4th Street. The contract we have currently for this building will be up in a year, and the plan is to go ahead and incorporate that, so whenever the current vendor for this is up, then we can incorporate those 2 contracts together.
One more thing before you start, Mr. Doucette. Have we even looked at putting a permanent janitorial services person on staff? Because I believe at some of these costs, we may be getting close to where we can afford a person. And I'm not taking anything away from Janet, but when that building is fully operational and the kitchen for Lamar is up, I do believe that we may need somebody over there cleaning 8 hours a day. I'm not sure 3 days a week is going to do it.
We would have had to place that position in the budget.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you something. That would be besides the janitorial company?
No, that would be going forward, for us to start looking forward. Okay, right now.
Okay, let's just say we forward.
That's
That'd be
right.
1 person every day?
1 person every day, and their only responsibility is going to be for janitorial services, both at that location and over here.
Okay, but I talked to a janitorial service, that's just me talking to him, and he said he wouldn't do it with 3 people. That's just his opinion, you know, because you're dealing with the state on cleaning this. Now, the person that cleans here, did they bid over there? No. Did they have the opportunity to bid over there?
They absolutely did. They were
Okay.
at the pre-bid meeting. They did decline to turn in a bid.
Okay, that was going to be a question.
Yeah. The only thing I see is it's just 3 bids under that. And I all the time thought you work on the lower bid or close to the lower bid or closer to the lower bid, but we're taking the next to the top bid. That's all I'm thinking.
Oh, it also has purchasing, it says that is the lowest responsible bid. So sometimes if you have the lowest bid and there's something that can be put into the equation whereby, although it may be the lowest, it's not the most responsible. For an instance, they don't have the capacity to do what they're saying they're going to do, or they don't have the people, or you have information that they have done this and they have not done something. So at that time, you are then allowed to go to the next. That's why it says the lowest responsible bid.
And personal, I would never go to lowest bid, but I thought the city always went to the lowest bid.
Well, we do. The government says lowest responsible bid, and that's what they mean by that. You know,
And that's why we did.
If it's responsible, if you got nothing, you should go with the lowest bid. That's government.
Okay.
That's why we did qualifications. We did a request for qualifications, so it just wouldn't be a price.
But
It was a whole packet
So
of
where did they get the
qualifications.
qualifications? Who decided that?
The city's purchasing department put out the RFQ.
Okay, let me ask you something. Quest, do they work for the city?
Do they work? They currently clean the press building along with.
No, but anything for the city for the city to know if they're good or not?
Yes, and I provided a confidential memo to the interim CEO if y'all would like that further information from her.
Because I know, I think the police station, Diamond does them. And so I thought they would have had a shoe in to understand that part. The city would have said they're actually good, because if they're not, they wouldn't be using them.
They use more than one company on the list. I provided a confidential memo to the interim CEO. You can get further information from her.
I would like to make a motion that we move this to executive session.
So before we make that motion, I'm unaware of any authority to go into closed session to have that discussion. What is this about?
That's right. We're talking about purchasing procedures, and it's all printed. It's all written and it's public. Really, it's not nothing that we can just bring it into closed session, because you have a purchasing procedure, and that's what we talk about when she tells us that she sent, these are the bids that they sent out. Okay?
There's no authority to go into closed session
Right.
to discuss contracts or bids generally.
That's right.
If we want to discuss that memo, we can do that in open session.
That's right.
I just have a problem with 3 bids under this bid.
We have one company whose, I believe there would be issues. AHC Services is used by several buildings within the city. We have one building that is currently canceling that contract and going out for bid, and they did not get any good references.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Can I get a motion?
Wait a minute before you do that. I want to make sure which one we go. So we asking to hire who?
It's number 9.
Agape has never done any work for the city.
Say again now?
Agape, the lowest bid, has never done any work for the city.
Well, not only that, but it's kind of real low compared to what everybody else has bid. What about AHC?
I did not receive good references from several city departments.
Okay.
Do they work for the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I prefer us using our purchasing procedures for the, we supposed to use the same laws for purchasing and issuing the contracts, okay? So let's not rely on what somebody say. Let's go through the process and determining, because we're talking about money, the difference, and I'm looking at the difference here between those two, so.
And we did the bid process. Both Crystal and I went through the complete purchasing packet, and Quest came out with the highest. But I still checked the references, just as an extra form of due diligence. That's why Quest has the recommendation.
Well, that's all. I understand that. That's all part of the process when you looking at bids. But let me be clear. The process says people submit sealed bids, okay? And when you have people who you designate that's going to evaluate and score these, that's what you do from the bids that are submitted, and they score them. and they issue a score. And that's supposed to be these. And then there's a recommendation. But it's all based on bids. And we need to follow the process.
You're correct. Board Member Doucette, and I think what is confused in the situation here is the fact that we have the numbers on here, but this actual RFQ went out based on qualifications rather than the price. So what we probably should have put was the scoring matrix, what we came up with the scoring. So that is what we would base our recommendation to the board is, based off of the score that we came up with as a committee rather than the actual pricing.
Why aren't we doing RFPs as opposed to RFQs? Okay, because RFQ is a request for qualifications. That means if someone is qualified to do it, that's what they tell you. A request for proposal, then they're taking your scope. And then that's when they lay out what they can do, time frame, and all of that stuff. So requests for proposals will give you more to choose from than a request for qualifications. Because an engineering firm requests for qualification, they qualify. But you know, when you take requests for proposals, this is what I want done. Now, what is your proposal? That's when he talked about people, what they got, how they work, and all of that. Request for qualification just a verification that you're qualified to do that. So let's use a request for proposals, because in proposals you also could get a price. You don't have to get none in a qualification. Okay? And I think that would have cleared up a lot of our questions about the pricing and everything, because you get everybody give it to you. Then you can take a look at, now we're getting into what Jan is talking about. Request proposal is when you identify that they're lacking, you know. But we need to really keep our business. When you do that, we don't want to operate outside the process. The process is they submit it to you. You got a people that you appoint to decide. They review, score, and recommend.
That would be the city?
No,
That's exactly what we
that's
did.
it.
I think, like Crystal said, in error, instead of putting the prices, we should have put the scores. The request for qualifications recommendation came from the city's purchasing department. The entire process was followed. The committee was formed. We did score them. Quest was the highest score. We erred by putting the prices on here instead of the scoring. But the request for qualifications and city's purchasing procedure was absolutely adhered to. Sir?
Done it.
Yes, sir.
That's what I want to make.
Yes, sir.
All of it is done here at the economic.
Yes, sir.
I get kind of nervous when we start talking city. I understand procedure, but when we talk about purchasing, we don't follow it. We got to follow the state laws. Huh?
No, actually, Texas law with respect to purchasing procedures not applicable to economic development corporations. Y'all can bid however you decide you want to bid. Now, I say that y'all have specifically chosen to follow a particular procedure for this bidding process, so you should continue to on this particular bid, continue to utilize and follow the process appropriately. But in the future, Texas law does not apply the same requirements on procurement on economic development corporations that it applies to Texas cities.
Oh, I think what we need on that is we need a short. Well, I don't think you need to tell us, because we don't do the work and they do the work, and you check everything before it comes to us. So, but I think what needs to happen is that you get our CEO and
I
our
was actually
staff.
going to do that. Yeah, after listening to this discussion, sir, yes, I was going to get with Chris.
Good.
I was going to get with her afterwards and say
Thank
that there may be a way to do it a little differently if we've got different. Anyway, I was going to get with her.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Two things I wanted to ask you, and I think I asked this before to somebody. Why do we, with economic, why do we mess with the city anyway on their recommendations of anything?
I think that's for the CEO and the bylaws.
And I think that's probably a great discussion if you want to have it at a future meeting after it's been posted on the agenda. But right now, the only thing before you is a decision on this award.
Okay, well, the only other question I had is I want to make sure I understand Quest Maintenance Services does work for the city of Port Arthur.
They currently clean the press building and several other buildings for the city.
No, but the press building's our building, but do they clean any other thing besides our Quest? They clean something, police station, fire station? Okay, good, okay. Can I get a motion?
I so move.
Second?
I'm not sure we're clear on, is staff clear on what the motion was?
The motion is to approve the contract for Quest Maintenance
Okay.
Services.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
And I apologize for not completing that motion.
Motion died. Next 10, discuss and consider amending.
So do we need a decision tonight to determine who's going to clean this building, or can it wait? Okay, all right, so no other motions? No, all right.
Do we have a lot of people in there now?
The Lamar and EOC side, I don't have anybody cleaning the co-working space.
Oh.
Well, it's currently,
So basically, right now, the only part that is not being cleaned, Jan, is basically what we have as opposed to what our lease, the people that we leasing,
Correct.
they okay?
We don't have anybody cleaning our side of the building.
Okay. So that goes to what Ms. Clark was saying and what we talked about. Where are we with our person that we're supposed to hire?
we got that person hired.
And currently, he is taking out the trash, but we don't have anybody. And we are stocking the restrooms. But he's not full-time, just doing that, so we don't have anyone cleaning our side of the building.
He's a full-time employee, but his position is a maintenance worker. So he is helping Jana restock those restrooms and do some basic cleaning, but we don't have a janitorial person on staff.
There's a reason why I motion, because, we're talking about now safety, hazard, not hazard, but we need someone in that building to clean the building. I understand there's an issue regarding, who we give the contract to, but we need to look at what is needed for that building now. Now, we can modify it later, I don't know, but we need to do something in regards to trying to get this building taken care of. Because we do have tenants in it now.
I understand that, but the motion, the request is for a year, okay? So we either gonna have to do like you say, and I agree, that's why I asked them who's cleaning it and where we are with it, because we can't have people renting the building and we're not maintaining it for some type of differences and stuff. That's not right. So I guess we back up on the wall, so let's go back.
If we're not, for whatever reason, satisfied with what was presented, we can always do a month-to-month deal and just pay for the service until we get where we want to go.
Okay.
Sir.
Shaking your head, Charlie,
Sure,
so that's good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
You would just, I would recommend giving direction to staff so that they know the policy direction from this board.
The motion's going to be discuss and consider awarding a bid, enter into agreement with the janitorial service month to month.
But, okay, so what I'm hearing, yeah, all right, so what I'm hearing is nobody y'all are comfortable with that was in this bid process. That's absolutely fine. So you'd like staff to find alternate, whether it's month to month with the current folks, negotiate something to get it cleaned, and then to come back with a process for getting a full-time cleaner?
And whatever Mr. Dew said, AFP, whatever it was, he said instead.
Well, I think right now we pretty much have resided to what's going on. We've got the staff said we got to get somebody in there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and Commissioner Anderson had a good point. You know, we don't have to lock it in for a year, so we could do a monthly, and then that'll give us time to address the concerns that Ms. Clark brought forward and I brought forward, so at any time we can go back and readdress it. But for right now, we will get this done as per staff request, keeping in mind all our concerns, and we could go back and address them if we do the month to month as opposed to the year. And that's not to say we won't come back and approve it for a year.
So
If all
Charlie-
our questions are answered.
So Charlie, on this, we could do month to month with Quest, who's servicing it now, and still go out for bids.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are you okay with that approach?
Yes, and I would just ask that the board maybe make the motion, if it's going to be Quest, to make the motion to hire Quest on a month-to-month basis for the amount of $5,170 per month.
And do we want to do another bid process?
Well,
That'll be the direction of the
Right.
board, how you want to handle that.
I think right now what we want is, first of all, let's get somebody in the building. And then we'll come back and we can put this on and discuss and decide exactly what we need in the direction we want to go, so that all our questions are answered, you know. But right now, I think we need to do like Commissioner Anderson said.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, what was your thoughts?
I'm going to make the motion right now. I move that we enlist hire Quest Maintenance Services in the amount of $5,170 on a month-to-month basis to clean the press building.
I second.
All in favor? Against? Motion carried. Next is discuss and consider amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 EDC budget to include a staff 4% cost of living increase to be consistent with the city basic schedule of the pay rate of the city.
Yes,
And the
Chair.
ranges.
The City of Port Arthur has adopted their cost of living increase to be 4% for all city employees. This is coming before you guys to amend the budget that you all approved at the last meeting to allow EDC staff to stay inconsistent with the city and include the 4%. That is the pleasure of the board to make that.
Okay, Crystal, I heard some discussion that they lowered that to 3.5. Did they actually take it back up to 4?
Yes, it is 4.
No.
Let's bring it to the floor. I moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Question. Now that we brought it to the floor.
Okay.
Okay. Attorney, in the future, can we give our personnel raises when we approve it, as opposed to waiting to determine whether the city does it or not?
Absolutely. You can present a
That's what I wanna
budget
access.
with the raise that you believe is appropriate for your personnel and present that to City Council for their approval. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Good luck.
Okay. Well, the thing about it, that's why we need to understand what we can and can't do and
Yeah,
not
there-
what they've been doing, okay? And
There's a
that's why-
difference between there's an obvious difference between legally what you can do and maybe what you should do, so.
That's what I'm talking about. And I want to know what we could do legally, because that's what normally save us. Okay.
Good.
No more questions.
Okay. I think that one passed.
We haven't had a vote yet.
What?
I think there was a motion and a second, but no
Right,
vote.
you got to vote, Jerry.
Okay. All for it? Aye. Against? Motion passed. Discuss and consider naming rights for the press building request of the Board Secretary Beverly Raymond.
The reason I put this on the agenda, it has been discussed, and also several people, not several people, a few people, as well as the council, have brought to our attention about the name press building. And will we consider naming rights for the press building? And I think it would be a great idea to, if possible, to submit bids to different businesses who would be interested in placing their name on the building and paying us so much a month or a year. And they would also bring in money to help out in the press building. So again, this is the reason why I brought this particular item to the board to consider naming rights for the press building.
That's the way they're going now. That's all. You know, that's the way people are doing business now. And all we have to decide how we're going to do it. And I think a yearly rate, because if somebody wants to give up more money next year, then we could change it. So we have to just understand that either we're going to do it with a permanent or we're going to do it whereas we do it every year, bid it out. So that's what needs to be decided.
Did you get a chance to look into that?
No, not yet. No, ma'am.
I think this is great, and I think Beverly, since she thought of this, she should be have a committee, and maybe she should be the runner of it.
I think I heard that before.
Okay, that's it.
We looked at this before, right?
It was recommended a couple of years ago by Mr. Petrie.
Huh?
But
We never-
we never took no action on it.
Okay. Seemed like we had this discussion before, and for some reason we didn't move forward.
Because the building wasn't in a position for us to do it at that particular point in time, because we were still under construction, but now we're in a different phase of it, and now the timing may be more appropriate now.
We can actually do it, is what I'm asking.
Charlie's going to
Do that, Charlie?
do some investigation. Then he's going to let us know.
Yeah, I thought I would, if you're going to put together a committee to look at this, I believe we have assisted in naming rights before. I'm not 100% certain. I was waiting for my law partner to get back in town. He just sent me an email, so I know he's back in town. And I was going to get with him, and we're going to see if we have done that and what options were out there to make that happen, to assist the committee. Yes, sir.
The last thing I think, and can we go back to reports, can we?
Yes, sir.
On the plaque. I know Jana had an emergency and she wasn't here to talk about that. Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved. We got to bring it to the floor.
Okay. Second.
Okay. Now,
All for?
Question.
you want to do a committee, you said? 'Cause
Yeah, yeah. So can we have a committee, I guess?
no, well, it's a standing committee, so as a standing committee, you appoint people to standing committees. We don't have to vote on it.
Okay. So Beverly.
Yeah, if that's in the policies, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
So Beverly's the head of it, if you don't mind.
I ain't working with it.
And Doucette lives by Beverly. And I guess Mr. Anderson, because he understands it too, if you don't mind. I know you're busy.
That's okay. I'm reading Darrell's face. He doesn't want to commit. I'll commit to
You
the
do?
committee.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Don't worry, man. I got you.
Why didn't you read mine?
Okay,
Take
so
much mind reading.
we need a motion on that? No? Okay, good. Okay, good. Can we do the plaque now, and then that's it for this one?
That's up to the board. It's your meeting.
Okay. Jana?
I do apologize. I did have a family emergency right before coming, and I did leave my printouts on my desk and neglected to bring them with me.
Okay.
I can email you guys tomorrow, because what I want to be certain is that everybody is on the plaque, or maybe we don't want every, what sections, what's the pleasure of the board as to who's listed on the plaque? The way it's currently listed is that it lists all former and current board members that have voted on the building since the inception, city council persons since the inception of the project, and all current and former higher level management staff.
I don't know, other than seeing it, you basically told us what's going on. I don't see why we got to see it. We could either say yea or nay, or add or subtract. Based on the people you said, I'm all in agreement with it, because I wouldn't want anybody that had anything to do with the planning or the building of that building to be left out or slighted because they're not here after it's all done. That's to include board members, council members. If there's a process of approving it, then I think that would be appropriate that we include all of them. That's me speaking.
Good, okay. No, I don't guess. Charlie didn't say nothing.
Just a presentation.
Okay, so I guess the next step is closed session. Charlie, you might walk us through this. In order to comply with the requirements of 551, do we have to read all that, open meeting law?
No, sir, just that we're going to go into closed session under 551074 Government Code to discuss the appointment of a PA EDC CEO and name the time and adjourn into closed session.
Okay. You may repeat it again. A closed session meeting or executive session will be held to the following section, 551 Texas Government Code, number 1, section 551074 Government Code, to discuss matters of personnel. Report out the EDC CEO.
Perfect.
Oh, okay, good.
And the time, we go into closed session. 7:16.
7:15, okay. Okay. Can I get a roll call?
Gerald Anderson. Here. Beverly Raymond. She's in the kitchen. Okay. Christopher Smith. Here. Ellen Clark. Here. Harold Doucette. Jerry LeBeau.
Here.
Rhonda Connor. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, if there's no items to be voted on, can get a motion to close.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir.
Motion closed. Thank y'all. Appreciate it for coming.